TheLazyPeon.
What's up guys, TheLazyPeon here, and today we're going to be talking about the recent announcement by community manager Bashiok about there being no flying in Warlords of Draenor. There's been a lot of speculation on the topic, but now we finally know how Blizzard sees the effect that flying has on their game. Before we get started, Blizzard haven't ruled out that flying could be added later into the expansion. They've also stated that they're not trying to slow down the game. The main reason for this decision is that Blizzard believe flying alters how content is approached. They don't want players to use flight mechanics just to avoid certain elements of the game. And honestly, I kind of agree with the decision. At first, I thought flying was awesome. It gave you a huge sense of freedom in the game, and it also meant you didn't have to use the awful flight points. But now I find it boring. We're just flying over everything. We're not getting to experience what's down there in the world. It also takes away the danger aspect of the world. If you're flying over everything, you're safe. Whereas if you're down in the world, there's a chance that you could aggro a mob and actually have to kill something. Flying also affects the multiplayer aspect of the game because it takes people out of the world. Some zones are full of players, but we don't see them most of the time because they're up in the sky on their flying mount. I think Blizzard are really proud of this expansion. They want players to experience and appreciate what they've put into it. And after years of development time, can you really blame them? On the other hand though, Blizzard have to acknowledge that some players just don't care about art or quests. They just want to get to endgame so they can raid or PvP, and there's nothing wrong with that. And from their point of view, taking flying out of the game is simply prolonging an aspect of the game that they just don't enjoy. I have no problem with the initial no flying aspect, but after we've consumed all the content, we've seen everything, we've done the latest raid tier, we're a year in, are we really still going to be wanting to ride our ground mounts from A to B? No! Bashiok did say that the new flight points are going to be more efficient. They're just going to go from A to B. No detours, no loop-de-loop, and that Blizzard are aware that the old flight points were awful, which kind of gives a bit of hope for the players that aren't too keen on the whole no flying thing. I think everyone can agree that the game looks better from the ground, and that you get a much greater sense of scale than you do when you're flying. So I guess we'll just have to see how the world's designed. Maybe flying won't be as necessary as it was in previous expansions. Maybe Blizzard will actually do a really good job on the flight points. We're not going to know until the Warlords of Draenor beta is here, and it might be some time until that's out. Until then, we're just going to have to put our faith in Blizzard. Additionally, in Warlords of Draenor, it's obvious that Blizzard are trying to attract new players to the game through the level 90 boost. But the gameplay experience for them is going to be a lot better than a player that's experienced flying, because they've never experienced it before. They'd have nothing to complain about. For them, they'd be dropped into this badass, harsh world where they can actually die. They can't just avoid mobs by flying over them. They haven't experienced that aspect of the game. Bashiok has also said that Blizzard are planning on making more level 100 zones and quest areas, and that with the no flying, these areas can be integrated better into the world. They won't just be a room or a big bubble which no flying occurs. I think the Timeless Isle was kind of a testing ground for this content, and generally it was a big success. A lot of players got to see that content. Personally, I really enjoyed the Timeless Isle. But if I could fly, I really don't think the experience would have been the same. I really liked how, even though I was level capped and I had a decent standard of gear, I could still die fairly easily if I was stupid and pulled loads of mobs. And I really enjoyed that. It made players think about their gameplay more. The Timeless Isle, when first released, it did feel like a dangerous, strange world. Because we couldn't fly over there, we had to go and explore it ourselves. Players were dying all the time because they was just pulling too many mobs, or they were just being idiots. In Warlords of Draenor, players are actually going to get to explore again, and this is something I can't wait for. I haven't got to explore in WoW or get the feeling of exploration since I just started the game and I was a total noob. Blizzard are also rewarding exploration more in this expansion by implementing hidden treasures into the game. And if you could just fly from A to B, just collecting all of the hidden treasures, that would just totally take away the exploration and the challenge of getting them. Without flying, you're going to see way more players in the world, either questing or killing mobs. This is good from a social point of view because it increases the chance that players are going to invite each other to groups or make friends. If it's more efficient to team up with another player and work towards a common goal, either via questing or mob farming, then players are going to do that because it will be mutually beneficial. And this is how friendships are made, and how groups form, and how guilds grow. I know there's a lot of you out there that are absolutely going to hate the no flying rule in Warlords of Draenor, but you have to look at it from Blizzard's point of view. It really will be better for the game. And although flying was really convenient, I'd rather trade convenience for immersion and gameplay. Could this decision maybe be an indication of a new direction that Blizzard are going? A less convenient, more gameplay intensive experience? Maybe they'll get rid of the in-game menus to form groups and we'll have to find players on our own, like back in the old days of Vanilla, Burning Crusade and halfway through Wrath. Either way, I'd really like to hear what you guys have to say about this. Are you happy that there's going to be no flying in Warlords of Draenor? Or do you think it's going to make the game more tedious and time consuming? Whatever you think, leave a comment below. That's it for this video guys, but please comment, rate, subscribe, and check out the other videos on my channel. I also make WoW Machinima, so you should definitely check that out too. See ya!